Stand up so you can see what's going on, all that good stuff. Okay, my name is Mark Turner. I'm a member of the Marlborough Volunteers, and we're a U.S. military history and educational group. We try to show you the war periods between the French and Indian and modern day. Right now we're in the Ohio Territory, 1778, and Captain Ron Hafner will step us through.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Ohio Territory. And you are in a territory. I've heard people talking about something called Ohio State today. There is no Ohio State. You're getting ahead of yourselves. It is a territory. It encompasses the area that will eventually become Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan. What you see before you is a group from Fort Pitt. We have come into this territory for two reasons. One, because the Shawnee and Wyandot are attacking our villages in western Pennsylvania. We are here with the hopes of trying to deter them. Secondly, we are here in support of our allies, the Delaware. So we are marching eventually to a point where Sandy Creek runs into the Tuscarawas River, where we will build a fort. Once that fort is completed, it has been determined it will be named after the current president of the Continental Congress. His name is Henry Lawrence. Therefore, it will be called Fort Lawrence. The men you see before you, three of them are dressed in the blue coats faced red. That is the way we would like to see the Army dressed. However, it's hard to keep the whole Army dressed that way, as these uniforms wear out with daily use. So the other men you see are men, two of them are men who have just joined the unit and don't have uniforms yet. The man on the far end, uniform has been worn out and he has reverted to wearing his hunting shirt. This would happen a lot. Rarely would you see a unit with everybody with complete uniforms. The weapons these men are holding are smoothbore muskets. Three of them have 75 caliber muskets, the type that the British are using. Another three of them have the French Charleville muskets that we are receiving since the French joined the war last February. By these weapons being muskets, that means they are a smoothbore weapon. So when the ball comes out of the barrel of that weapon, it has little or no rotation on it. This means at 30 yards, they can be deadly accurate. At 50 yards, they can usually hit what they're aiming at. At 80 yards, they can hit it probably 3 out of 5 times. But since we practice lineal warfare, where you line up in a line as these men are, and fire at your enemy who's lined up in a line like that, if I'm firing at one man, and I hit 3 men down in the line, I don't care, I hit somebody. But because of the accuracy of these weapons, most of our battles then are fought usually 80 yards or closer. Anything beyond 80 yards, you're just wasting lead because you're not going to hit anything. Last winter, we spent time at Valley Forge. And we learned new drill as taught by Baron von Steuben. Prior to that time, each unit drilled under their own method of drill. That means when you're on the field, if I had 3 units under my command, each one of those units could have been trained differently. So when I give a command, I might get 3 different responses. You can imagine the chaos. Add to that, I didn't train any of those units, so they have no idea what I'm talking about. So Baron von Steuben said everybody is going to train to the same drill manual, and the officers are now going to train their men. This is new. Up to this time, I've had little contact with my men. After all, I'm probably from the gentry, and they're from the lower class. So now I have had to train them this winter. So what we're going to show you is a little bit what we have learned over the winter. Shoulder, fire line. We will advance by the left wheel. Right. Take care. Halt. Okay, Sergeant, break them into two ranks. You may ask, why do we fight in line formation like that? Doesn't that make them good targets? Well, remember, these muskets are single-shot weapons. So if I have a man standing on the battlefield, he fires downrange with one shot, that doesn't impress the enemy much at all. But if we line up like this, especially if I have enough men to make a second rank, I can get a lot of firepower in a small space. And if we all fire at one time, I've just now created a giant shotgun. That tends to get the enemy's attention. Priming load. There are 14 steps to loading this weapon. But since these men are well practiced, after being at Valley Forge, I don't have to give them individual instructions. And that's a good thing, because if we were on the battlefield, they couldn't hear me with the sounds of battle going on. So they already know what they're doing. When they come back to the shoulder, I know that they're loaded and ready to go. One of the things we will do is rarely will we ever shoot with the whole unit fire at one time. You always want to leave some weapons loaded, because if we fire everybody at once and the enemy's only 50 yards away, they're going to be on top of us before we reload. So you always leave some of your units loaded. Front rank, make ready. Take aim. Fire.
Prime and load.
Second rank. Make ready. Take aim. Fire.
Prime and load.
Now, just so you get the effect of what it looks like when you have both ranks firing, we'll do it again. Unit, make ready. Take aim. Fire. Fix. Bayonet. Now, if we feel we have the advantage on the field, and we want to take the field, we will do this. Shoulder, fire line. Unit will advance by the slow march. Charge, bayonet.
Huzzah! Huzzah!
Take care. Halt. Now, nobody really wants to go into a bayonet charge because you're going to go hand to hand with the enemy. That gets really messy. This is an intimidation factor. We will do this once we feel we have the advantage and we can drive the enemy off the field, because once we drive them off the field, we have won the battle. we're doing here is learning how to build defenses. The structure you see here is called a chevaux de frise. This was originally built as a defense against cavalry. A horse tries to jump over that, they don't make it, they impale themselves. What we will do is build these. We'll build several of these and chain them end to end across the field. Remember I said we fight lineal warfare. If you have a front of 200 men marching towards you, they march up to a row of chevaux de frise. Now they have to determine what they're going to do. Are they going to go over it or try to break their way through it? While they stop to do that, they make good targets for my men because we put these within musket range. The other option they have is to break their ranks and go around the chevaux de frise. If they do that, they've done exactly what I want them to do, because I've taken a 200-man front and broken it into smaller pieces. And once I've done that, I can deal with the smaller pieces rather than dealing with 200 men at one time. They will then cross an open field under fire. They will come to our trench, which right now is filled with a lovely mixture of stagnant water. They will have to go down into the trench because if they try to jump the trench, they will impale themselves on the spikes sticking out of the dirt. That gives us an advantage because they are now lower than my men are. They have to try to climb up the dirt while my men stand there with fixed bayonets. That amount of dirt will stop a musket ball, and the angle of the dirt will protect my men from bouncing cannon shot. So they're well protected in that structure, and it's hard for an enemy to take that structure. So, as you travel through the Ohio Territory today, I hope for whatever reason you're here, you figure out what you're doing and you have success. But I also hope as you travel along, you feel like you're safe and secure because my men have learned their trade well. And with that, we give you your lead.
Present. Oh!